In the vast theater of human existence, where countless generations have faced the eternal challenges of life, there exists a profound wisdom that has endured for over 2 millennia. The ancient Stoics, those remarkable philosophers of Greece and Rome, discovered fundamental truths about navigating adversity that remain as relevant today as they were in the marble halls of Athens and the bustling forums of Rome. Picture, if you will, the Emperor Marcus Aurelius, writing by candlelight in his military tent along the Danube frontier. Here was a man who commanded the mightiest empire on earth, yet found himself pondering the same questions that trouble us all. How do we maintain our equilibrium when storms rage around us? How do we find strength when circumstances seem overwhelming? The Stoics understood something remarkable about the human condition. They recognized that while we cannot control the external world, the weather, other people's actions, the rise and fall of fortunes, we possess complete sovereignty over our internal responses. This insight, simple yet revolutionary, forms the bedrock of Stoic resilience. Consider the slave-turned-philosopher Epictetus, who, despite his lowly station and physical disability, became one of Rome's most influential teachers. His life exemplified a core Stoic principle: that our circumstances do not define us, our responses do. When we examine his teachings, we discover that he viewed adversity not as an enemy to be vanquished, but as a training ground for character. The Stoics developed what we might call a technology of the mind, practical techniques for transforming obstacles into opportunities. They understood that every challenge contains within it the seeds of growth. When faced with illness, they saw an opportunity to practice patience. When confronted with loss, they discovered a chance to deepen their appreciation for what remains. When meeting criticism, they found an occasion to examine themselves honestly and either improve or stand firm in their convictions. This philosophy manifests beautifully in the concept of premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Rather than avoiding thoughts of potential misfortune, the Stoics regularly contemplated possible setbacks. This practice, far from being morbid, served as a form of mental inoculation. By imagining losses before they occurred, practitioners developed emotional antibodies, reducing the shock when difficulties inevitably arose. The natural world offers countless parallels to this wisdom. Observe how trees grow stronger in windy environments, their roots deepening and their trunks thickening in response to stress. The Stoics saw humans similarly. We develop resilience through exposure to manageable challenges, emerging more capable with each test we face. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his private journal that would later become the Meditations, repeatedly reminded himself of life's fundamental nature: change. Everything flows, transforms, and eventually passes away. Rather than lamenting this reality, he found liberation in accepting it. When we align ourselves with nature's patterns rather than fighting them, we discover a profound source of peace. The Stoics also understood the power of perspective. They regularly practiced an exercise called the view from above, imagining themselves rising higher and higher until they could see their problems from a cosmic vantage point. From such heights, many concerns that loom large in daily life reveal their true proportions. This technique remains powerful today. Astronauts often report profound shifts in perspective after seeing Earth from space, a tiny blue marble suspended in the vastness. Central to Stoic resilience is the discipline of desire. The philosophers taught that suffering often stems not from events themselves, but from the gap between our expectations and reality. By moderating our desires and finding contentment in simplicity, we reduce our vulnerability to disappointment. This doesn't mean abandoning ambition, but rather pursuing goals while maintaining equanimity about outcomes. The Stoic approach to emotions deserves particular attention. Contrary to popular misconception, Stoics weren't emotionless. They experienced the full spectrum of human feelings, but distinguished between initial impressions and considered judgments. When struck by misfortune, they felt the immediate sting like anyone else. Their practice lay in pausing before that initial reaction crystallized into lasting distress, examining whether their judgments about the situation were accurate and helpful. This pause, this space between stimulus and response, represents one of humanity's greatest freedoms. In that moment of reflection, we choose who we become. The Stoics cultivated this freedom through daily practice, gradually extending their ability to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. The communal aspect of Stoicism often goes unrecognized. These philosophers understood that humans are social creatures, interconnected like cells in a larger organism. They taught that serving others and contributing to the common good provides meaning that transcends personal setbacks. When focused on purposes larger than ourselves, individual hardships lose much of their sting. Seneca, the wealthy advisor to emperors, exemplified how Stoic principles apply across all stations of life. Despite his riches, he regularly practiced voluntary hardship, sleeping on hard floors, fasting, wearing rough clothing. These exercises weren't masochistic but strategic, designed to prove to himself that he could survive without luxuries, thereby freeing him from the fear of losing them. The Stoics recognized that resilience isn't built in moments of comfort, but forged in difficulty's furnace. They welcomed challenges as opportunities to test and strengthen their philosophical commitments. Each obstacle overcome added another layer to their confidence, creating an upward spiral of capability and composure. Time held special significance in Stoic thought. They understood that the present moment is all we truly possess. The past exists only in memory, the future only in imagination. By anchoring attention in the here and now, they avoided much unnecessary suffering. Regret and anxiety, those twin thieves of peace, lose their power when we focus on what we can do in this moment. The practice of evening reflection served as a cornerstone of Stoic discipline. Before sleep, practitioners reviewed their day, examining their thoughts, words, and deeds. Where had they acted according to wisdom? Where had they fallen short? This honest self-assessment, conducted without harsh self-criticism, promoted continuous growth and self-awareness. Death, that ultimate adversity, received special attention in Stoic philosophy. Rather than morbid obsession, their contemplation of mortality served to heighten appreciation for life. By remembering that our time is limited, we naturally focus on what matters most. The phrase memento mori, remember you must die, functioned not as a source of dread, but as a call to live fully and purposefully. The Stoics developed specific strategies for dealing with insults and criticism, recognizing these as common sources of distress. They taught that an insult only wounds if we choose to be wounded. By examining criticism objectively, is it true? Is it useful? We can extract any valid feedback while discarding malicious intent. This approach transforms potential sources of hurt into opportunities for growth or occasions to practice indifference to others' opinions. Physical pain and illness, inevitable aspects of human existence, received careful attention in Stoic teaching. While acknowledging pain's reality, they distinguished between physical sensations and our mental commentary about those sensations. Pain is one thing. Our thoughts about pain, this is terrible, I can't bear this, often amplifies suffering beyond the original stimulus. The Stoics understood that resilience operates like a muscle, strengthening with use. They advocated regular practices to build this capacity, morning meditation to set intentions, philosophical reading to reinforce principles, journaling to process experiences, and voluntary discomfort to maintain readiness for involuntary hardship. Community played a vital role in Stoic resilience. They gathered in schools and informal groups, supporting each other's philosophical development. This fellowship provided both accountability and encouragement, reminding practitioners that they weren't alone in their struggles. Modern research confirms what the Stoics intuited. Social connections significantly enhance our ability to weather adversity. The concept of sympathia, universal connection, infused Stoic thought with a cosmic dimension. They perceived all things as interconnected, each playing a role in the grand symphony of existence. This perspective transformed personal setbacks into threads in a larger tapestry, meaningful even when we cannot perceive the overall pattern. Gratitude emerged naturally from Stoic practice. By focusing on what remains rather than what is lost, by appreciating what we have rather than lamenting what we lack, practitioners cultivated a resilience rooted in abundance rather than scarcity. This gratitude wasn't naive optimism, but clear-eyed appreciation for life's genuine goods: friendship, wisdom, virtue, and the capacity to choose our responses. The Stoics recognized that perfect virtue, perfect resilience, might remain forever out of reach. They called this ideal the sage, a philosophical North Star, guiding their efforts without demanding a rival. This approach prevented discouragement while maintaining aspiration. Progress, not perfection, marked the Stoic path. As we observe the natural world, we see these principles reflected everywhere. Rivers flow around obstacles, finding new paths. Plants grow toward light, no matter how they must twist and turn. Animals adapt to changing environments with remarkable creativity. Nature itself embodies the resilience that Stoics sought to cultivate in human character. The legacy of Stoic resilience extends far beyond ancient philosophy. Its principles inform modern cognitive therapy, guide business leaders through uncertainty, and help individuals navigate personal crises. The tools developed 2,000 years ago remain sharp and useful, testament to their foundation in deep truths about human nature. The Stoics offer no promise of a life without adversity. Instead, they provide something far more valuable: a framework for transforming inevitable hardships into opportunities for growth. They teach us that resilience isn't about becoming invulnerable, but about developing the flexibility to bend without breaking, the wisdom to accept what cannot be changed, and the courage to change what can be changed. In the grand continuum of human experience, where each generation faces its unique challenges while wrestling with timeless dilemmas, the Stoic approach to resilience stands as a beacon. It reminds us that within each person lies an inviolable core, a capacity for choice that no external force can touch. This freedom, carefully cultivated and courageously exercised, transforms us from victims of circumstance into authors of our own stories. The ancient Stoics, through their lives and teachings, demonstrated that adversity need not diminish us. Properly approached, it can become the very chisel that shapes us into our finest form. In accepting this truth and applying their practical wisdom, we join a tradition stretching back through millennia, human beings choosing growth over bitterness, wisdom over despair, and resilience over resignation.